Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take about the Atlantic. Trump, according to them, Trump says Americans who died in the war are losers and suckers. And I have to weigh in on this, even though Tim Pool already did a piece, and I'm riding his coattails. I know, but I cannot help but throw in my 2 cents. Um, you know, he supposedly these anonymous sources say all these horrible things that and stupid things that Trump said. Supposedly he said on this trip to World War One memorial, who were the good guys in this war? Do you honestly believe a college educated New Yorker would ever ask that question? Honestly, do you think he doesn't know who the people were in World War One? I mean, do you honestly think he's that stupid? Come on. I thought George W. Bush was one of the stupidest people that ever lived and was president, but I'm pretty sure he knew who the players were in World War One. He went to college. So did Trump. They all went to college. And by the way, they went to college at a time when it was still kind of college. So maybe if you took a guy who was like, I don't know, 40 and went to college, say in the 2000s, and he didn't know who the players were in World War One, I might believe that. I might, but not a guy who went to college 50 years ago. It was still college then. It was still mostly college when I went. It's just kind of starting to fall apart at that point. But come on, people. You really expect us to believe this? And Biden's already quoting the article in his campaign commercials, which says to me, and that's a one piece of data I'm adding to this conversation, by the way. What that says to me is that this was a total excuse to give Biden something to hammer Trump with. And for some reason, they've decided on, well, he doesn't support the troops and he thinks they're stupid. Come on. The guy won't stop increasing the military budget. He has a stellar reputation regarding the soldiers and the VA. Ask anybody who's had to go to the VA before Trump threw it tons of money and revised it, and after. I think you'll find that they'll be pretty happy with Trump. I think a lot of the soldiers who have gotten to come home and may come home in the future are pretty happy with Trump. The guys pursuing peace deals in a lot of places. I think the military's fairly happy with Trump. Now, he went after John McCain specifically. Am I going to answer this call? Who the hell is this? I don't know who this is. I'm in the middle of a video. You'll have to call back and leave a message. It'll go off, doggy. Don't look. Just ignore it. How many rings it's gonna? Thank you. So when he went after John McCain, and I already got into an argument on Reddit about this, and the guy immediately brought up McCain, and it's just like, well, he was going after McCain specifically. And yeah, he was busting his balls. And that's what Trump does. He goes after the one thing that, is your strength. See, a lot of other people, they go after weakness. Trump goes after your strength. And he goes after it to the point where he disarms it. Or he makes it a non-issue. And even if he does it, and in the case of McCain, I don't know if he really managed to do it, disarm him on that, but it sent him a message like, hey, I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. Go ahead, throw your record in my face. Tell everybody you're a war hero. I don't care. That's kind of his attitude. So if you're like, I don't know, an expert in hockey, Trump's first move will be to come out and say, I don't think you're an expert in hockey at all. I think you're a fraud. I don't think you've ever seen the Stanley Cup. And then you're suddenly on the defensive. Um, See, these guys don't know how to fight Trump style. If they did, they would not be going at him this way. Because no one, this isn't even one of Trump's strengths. Right? This isn't the way to fight Trump. You could try this, but you'd have to have a guy that was way more pure than Biden to adopt that strategy. If you're going to adopt the strategy, well, Trump is very bad to the troops, but not Joe Biden. He's always been good. Well, you'd have to go back in Biden's history and make sure he had been good and not have huge, gaping baggage that is painfully obvious to anyone who's ever read about Biden or his son or his alleged sexual things or his plagiarism charges or his long record in Congress passing gun control and crime bills and that didn't work. I mean, there's so much baggage with Biden. This is all a deflect. That's why Biden's such a terrible candidate for the Democrats. The baggage that he brings is worse than Trump's. Because Trump, as a politician, going into 2016, didn't have any baggage. He had never been president. Now he's been president for 4 years, and he's actually got more done than Biden ever did. And Biden was in for 47 years. And he's fallen apart mentally. So I don't think this tactic is going to work. I don't think you're fooling any of the troops, but I don't think the troops are going to read this article and go, oh my God, Donald Trump said something about the troops and he said these things. He said that we were suckers for dying in a war. Well, I'm not involved. Well, that's terrible. They're not going to believe that. They're not stupid. How stupid do you think people are? The Atlantic. I don't think people will believe this at all. I think the only people who will believe this are the people who already hate Donald Trump. They'll believe anything you tell them as long as it's bad. Donald Trump once took a puppy, put it in a blender, killed it, and drank it. I know. I'm just making it up. Don't get scared. And they would go, yeah, I could totally see him doing that. I mean, he's a rich guy. Who's going to stop him, right? I mean, it's probably some sick fetish he has, right? I mean, that's what people do. They get caught up in this stuff. They are so caught up in Donald Trump. You could literally sell them anything that he's done and say, did you know Donald Trump did X? And they'd go, oh, I believe it. I believe it. Because they're desperate to believe anything that will get him out of office. That makes them feel better than Trump, I guess. I think part of this is Trump is kind of a bad person. And it's kind of hard to admit to yourself that someone you don't like or is a bad person could do better than you. That's kind of like contrary to the world we all want. We want a world in which the better people always win. The better people always are rewarded. But that's not how the world works. Sometimes there are bad people who do good. And sometimes there are good people who turn very evil. I look back at Barack Obama and I see a guy who seemingly started out very good. And I think he was corrupted by his power and manipulated. I really do. When he sent out a drone strike on the 4th day of his presidency. It went into I tell this story all the time. It went into a Pakistani apartment building and killed a bunch of people. It was announced they were all militants, and then later it was revealed they were old people, women, and children. Now you do that on your first drone strike. I mean, that's devastating, right? But if you get past it and keep doing drone strikes, as Obama did, as long as you don't have one that bad, you can keep rationalizing why you're still blowing people up, right? So if you blow up a car full of people and we killed 3 militants, sir, and unfortunately one of the militants brought his son along. Oh, that's not too bad. That's better than the Pakistani apartment building. Yeah, I think that's the way they corrupted Obama. Because in some ways, he was like a babe in the woods in that world. You know? Extremely talented orator, extremely, great at giving speeches, soaring rhetoric out the wazoo, but, his actual ability to govern, it just wasn't there. It just was a lot of not governing, which, from a libertarian standpoint, is kind of a move in the positive direction. But when he did govern, I mean, a lot of stuff he did was just terrible. I'll give him credit for opening up Cuba. That was good. There's a handful of other minor things, but, a lot of it was bad. But, despite the fact I think Obama wasn't a great president, I don't believe wild fantasy stories that are suspiciously timed to help poll numbers. They were just, politics. This is politics. And unfortunately, I think the Atlantic, along with a lot of other publications and media networks, they are perfectly willing to engage in politics and propaganda of the lowest sort. But, I don't think they're going to be around much longer. I mean, to me, there's very few people I know read the New York Times. I know no one who reads the Atlantic. To me, they're just going to be another dot on the giant map that is the internet. And good luck getting anybody to come in because, I think you guys are burning your credibility as fast as you built it up over all those decades. And at the end of the day, you're just going to be another website with a bunch of clickbait. No more or no less reliable than my friend's Facebook post about, whatever conspiracy theory somebody cobbled together in their basement on YouTube. Sorry.